Type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Welcome back to the program. Charlie, your phony scare tactics are not working. Trump endorsed Lindsey Graham, and I know exactly why. I want you to tell me, so this is from 224. 224, you tell me, why then does Lindsey Graham constantly stab Donald Trump in the back? Why does he do it? If he's such a big fan of Donald Trump, why does he do it? He does it a lot, by the way. A lot. Somebody tell me 224, what has Lindsey Graham done for you? What has Lindsey Graham done for the state of South Carolina? Very little. Very little. Oh, he gets some money for an aquarium or a port or a project or here and that. But what's he really done? I mean, truly. Other than stab Donald Trump in the back constantly. So you getting mad at me, and I don't really care if you are, because if you like Lindsey Graham, we are just diametrically opposed to each other, and it doesn't matter. So you just tell me, how great is Lindsey Graham? Oh, is it because he's going to do? Oh, I know. I can answer your question for you. I know. Lindsey Graham has got a bill out to where he's going to make sanctuary cities illegal. Oh, that's what he's going to do. Except for he's never going to get it passed. Because you see, sitting in the Senate is a little thing called a filibuster. And because of the filibuster, we can't get the Save America Act passed. We can't even get ICE and Border Patrol funded. Right? Yeah. So Lindsey Graham's big idea was, well, I got an idea. Why don't we just put it through reconciliation? That would be a good thing. We could do it like that. Well, guess what? The Senate parliamentarian wouldn't allow that. The Senate parliamentarian, who was been there for 14 years, a Democrat appointee, she could have been replaced by John Thune. And Thune doesn't do it. When's the last time you heard Lindsey Graham speaking out against the filibuster? When's the last time you've heard that? You don't, because you see, they cling. That's the thing about the Democrats. I'm going to talk a little bit more about this coming up. These Republicans, these rhinos in the Senate, cling to their traditions. Their traditions. But it seems like they only cling to tradition when tradition benefits a Democrat. So tell me how, please tell me. Please tell me how great Lindsey Graham is for South Carolina. Let's go to Lester in Powdersville. How you doing, Lester?
Esther.
Esther, I'm sorry. How you doing, Esther?
I'm good. My husband and I went to vote this afternoon earlier, and you know how they have signs outside saying no campaigning beyond a certain point.
Right.
Well, we vote at the library, and one of the candidates for a position was standing at the door, and he said, are y'all here to vote? And we said, yes. And he said, well, I'm so-and-so, and I'm on the ballot. And I looked at my husband, and can he do that?
I didn't think you could. I didn't think you could campaign.
Well, that's why I thought he was campaigning. So we went inside to vote, and I asked the people inside, and I said, there's so-and-so standing outside the door saying he's on the ballot, and his name saying he's on the ballot. I said, isn't that campaigning? And they said they looked it up and said he could do it. But I would have checked with the Election Commission on that.
I would like to get a good, solid answer on that as well, Esther, because that just doesn't seem right to me. I appreciate it. Let's go to Steve in Spartanburg. Steve, welcome.
Good afternoon, Charlie.
Yes,
I hope
sir.
you are well.
I am, sir. You as well. What's up?
Well, I had the unmitigated joy today, as compared to 6 years ago, to voting against Lindsey Graham in the early voting.
There you go. All right. Good for you.
Something else?
How did it feel?
Wonderful. We need to, well, you remember the last time, we got to keep the Republican majority, and all we got was stabbed in the back.
Yep. Yep.
I voted for Mark Lynch, and let's see where the chips fall where they may. Also,
Yes.
there were several other GOP candidates for Senate I never heard of.
Right.
And I'm
Yeah.
and I'm going, that's going to dilute the vote against Mark Lynch, isn't it?
Well, here's the thing, though. The only thing that really matters is, and we'll see if this happens, is if Lindsey Graham does not get, we got to keep him under 50%. Under 50%.
Correct.
That way will go to the runoff. The top two go to the runoff. That would be Lindsey Graham and Mark Lynch, and then everybody can vote for Mark Lynch.
Yeah, and let's Cornyn Lindsay this election.
That would be lovely. That would be lovely, Steve. I appreciate it. It would be fantastic. So last night we had another South Carolina governor's debate. Only had 4 people on the stage. You had Ron Reddy, Alan Wilson, Ralph Norman, and Nancy Mace. And I will say this. This is because I've spoken to 2 different people in vastly different worlds today, and both of them said kind of the same thing. And I thought when I was watching some of the clips of it, I felt the same way as well. There was one person on that stage last night that seemed to kind of stand out because they were less crazy sounding than the other 3. And that person was Nancy Mace. I'm going to tell you something. I was shocked. I really was. The going between Ron Reddy, Alan Wilson, and Ralph Norman, and it seemed like Ron Reddy and Alan Wilson were teaming up against Ralph Norman, and it was just a weird debate last night. It really, really was. And I kind of got to agree with what Nate Loeb said. He said the only people that did good in this debate tonight were the ones that didn't show up, and he's probably right. Let's go to Katie. Talking about these polling places. Katie, is that legal or not?
It's legal to talk within the 500-foot radius. It is illegal to have any signs or be distributing material. I read about that because of the thing that went on with Pratt out in California, and I was just curious.
So you can stand there, you can shake people's hands, you can tell them you're on the ballot.
Yeah, you can't ask them to vote for you, though.
And that's not considered campaigning.
They're allowed to do that.
Wow.
What I read. I'm not in politics.
Yeah.
Just a voter, just curious, just reading a lot. Oh, by the way, I live in Seneca. Just want to let you know, and I've never called before. I was surprised to get through.
Well, then you get the bell, Katie. Thank you very much. First-time caller. I appreciate you calling in. So apparently that is quote-unquote, I think we ought to change that. But here's what they would say. Well, if we can't get within 100 feet of the voting place, how are we going to get the vote? How we going to get the vote? It is what it is. Charlie, did I hear that right? Nancy Mace, not crazy? Listen, I'm as shocked as you are. See, I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned that the JJ said, did a Charleston airport incident come up last night? I'm as stunned as you are. Because, Nancy Mace, she's known as Crazy Nancy or whatever. Well, she was the most sane one on the stage last night. At least that's what it looked like to me. So, all right, when we get back, Senator Ron Johnson has dropped a reality check, and it's one that we can take or should take here in South Carolina as well. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hudson here. Start your day early on Sunrise Carolina tomorrow morning at 5 on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, well, Senator Ron Johnson really laid the hammer on the Republicans in the Senate. This is what he said.
But we need to stop allowing the Democrats in the minority to run the Senate.
Wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. Could you say that again, Ron Johnson?
But we need to stop allowing the Democrats in the minority to run the Senate.
Oh, my gosh. That sounds so familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound familiar? Allowing the Democrats in the minority to run the Senate? Gosh, it's like he's talking about Columbia, South Carolina, but he's not.
To destroy this country. And that's why I reluctantly have called to end the filibuster. The Senate is broken. There's not much left the filibuster anyway. A lot of my Republican colleagues just refuse to vote to give Democrats the tool that they're going to take anyway. I mean, that's the reality of the situation. When they have the power, they'll end the filibuster. They'll complete their goal of turning America into a one-party nation, Puerto Rico, D.C. into states, this packed Supreme Court, nationalize their elections. So that's the path we're on. I want to prevent that by passing good legislation to secure our election. That means we have to end the filibuster. We don't have the votes right now in the Republican conference to do that, though.
Aha. Now, all you people out there are like, oh, Charlie, I love Lindsey Graham. Lindsey Graham is wonderful. Lindsey Graham was endorsed by Trump. Blah, blah, blah. Have you ever heard Have you ever heard those words that were just spoken by Senator Ron Johnson? Have you ever heard those words come out of Lindsey Graham's mouth? That we need to do away with the filibuster? That we need to stop bending over backwards to please the Democrats in the mind? No. Lindsey Graham, and for that matter, Tim Scott. Let's never forget old Tim Scott. He's right there in the same boat. Have you ever heard Tim Scott get on Fox News, Fox Business News, anywhere in the world and say, look, we got to get rid of this filibuster? But we don't have the votes to do it. Let me tell you something. Here I am, Charlie James, talk show host, Greenville, South Carolina. Never have I been a senator in my life. But I know how you can get the votes. Would you like me to share? Well, I will. All you have to do as the Senate Majority Leader, John Thune, is go to these holdouts in the Senate and go, oh, you guys don't want to vote to do away with the filibuster? You don't? You don't want to do that? Okay. All right. Well, as of right now, I am removing you from all of your committee assignments. You are no longer the chairman of a committee. You are no longer the vice chair of a committee. You're no longer the chair or vice chair of a subcommittee. You 5 rhinos, he would never say that, but you 5 senators now have no committee assignments whatsoever. Go enjoy your day. And then see how they come around. See how they come around. It would be a quick turnaround. It'd be a turnaround for Collins, Murkowski, McConnell, others, Rand Paul. It would be a big turnaround. That's all you got to do. That's called playing, what is the word? Hardball. You guys don't want to work with us. You know what? We don't want to work with you. No more committee assignments. Enjoy your term as senator because nobody's ever going to hear from you again. That's how you do it. And replace them. Replace those people with some true conservative Republicans that are in the Senate, that want things like this done. Get rid of them. You see, that's what they want, because when you take those committee chairmanships away from them and those committee assignments, guess what? You're also taking some of their money because they get paid a little extra for all of that. So you just tell them you're no longer on committees. You're now just a senator. That's all you are. You have no more power. And without power, you have no more influence. Oh, and without influence, now your donor money is going to dry up. Ooh, don't I hate when that happens? John Thune, that's how you take care of that problem quickly. Charlie Thune, is T a Republican? I think you meant isn't a Republican. I agree. So, Charlie, can you cover the advisory questions that will be on the South Carolina ballot? Yeah, I will. One of them, the first question on the ballot is about whether or not you should have the right to register by party here in South Carolina. That's a yes. That's a horrible, I don't know who put it on the ballot, but it is a horribly worded question about closing the primaries here in South Carolina. Here's how the question should read for what? I believe the fifth time now. Should the South Carolina political primaries be closed? Yes or no? That's how it should be. The second one has to do with whether or not people on school boards should be able to run as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, because right now they, all claim they're nonpartisan. And like I explained this yesterday, just because the seat is nonpartisan does not mean the person is nonpartisan. I've had so many people ask me about school board members, is this person a Republican? Is this person a Democrat? We don't know, because that's a nonpartisan race. But I think with all of the partisan divide in our school boards, that you should be able to run as a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, because I think that's a pretty darn big question that a lot of people want to know, because that shows the ideology that you're aligned behind. So I'm voting yes on both of those questions, just to let you know. But again, horribly worded, absolutely dreadfully worded question on the ballot about closing the primaries. When we get back, we're going to be talking with Attorney General candidate David Stumbo. This is the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
He's got a mic, a mission, and no time for nonsense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea.
America is back.
Yes, sir. And welcome back to the program. One of the races on the ballot right now is that for Attorney General. Let's talk now with Solicitor David Stumbo, who is joining us. David, welcome to the program. Hope you're doing well.
Doing great, Charlie. Thank you for having me on today.
So my first question for you is, how long have you been a Republican?
Been a Republican my entire life, Charlie. Never wavered in that. Consistent, conservative Republican, and my wife and I have raised our kids to be the same. So that's a lifelong venture for me.
But you know, years as a prosecutor and a solicitor, why was this the time that you decided to run for Attorney General?
Never has there been a time as our state's growing so fast, Charlie, and we could lose the values that are so important to us in our state and what makes our state special if we don't have good leadership on the statewide level. And I just want to do, we really changed the culture in the 8th Circuit, my 4 counties, when I was elected solicitor 14 years ago. And I really want to take what we've been doing, fighting crime, back in law enforcement, keeping people safe, fighting for conservative principles, want to take what we've been doing in the 8th Circuit and take it to the state level because we need strong leadership in our statewide office holders, and I think I'm ready for that job.
So what's your time as solicitor taught you that you believe the Attorney General's office is missing right now?
Well, one of the big things is, we have to get after protecting our kids. That has to be priority number one. Internet crimes against children, something that's very important to me. In the time that I was early in my career, before I was elected solicitor, I was in that role in the AG's office. And I don't ever remember us having child predators walk out of the courtroom with probation sentences, and we're seeing that a lot right now. And as I've been solicitor, one of the things we really have to do is change the way we elect judges and have our judiciary be more accountable on sentencing. And so that is something that I'm going to use the bully pulpit of the office, Charlie, to try to change the way we elect judges to make them more accountable. And so we don't see bad guys walking out the door with light sentences, especially ones that are hurting our kids.
You know, everybody knows that the AG is like the top law enforcement officer in the state. Is there anything about the office that the public really doesn't understand well enough?
Well, I think the public, kind of sees your attorney general as a prosecutor, which they should. It's chief prosecutor, and you need a prosecutor in that role. But the other part of the office is as the state's top lawyer. So the attorney general has to advise state agencies a lot of times on the law. They have to write legal opinions when called upon to guide the state in legal matters, to be involved with civil litigation when the state's sued by somebody. The AG has to represent the state's interest. And so there's a whole lot of things that go into being the attorney general. It is a massive job, and you have to have a lot of good people in that office. And Charlie, I've worked in that office two different times, and I'm the only candidate in this race that has worked in the attorney general's office. for an extensive period of time. I was a supervising attorney with the state grand jury. And so in the last time role I was there before I was elected solicitor. So I understand that office. I understand its people. I understand what it's capable of and what it can do to really fight for the people of our state.
So, with all of those things that you listed that the Attorney General does, in your opinion, what is the most important responsibility of the Attorney General?
I think the most important is to lead the criminal justice system and to make sure we're holding wrongdoers accountable, whether that's murderers, whether that's drug traffickers, whether that's corrupt public officials. Any of those areas we need to be going after and fighting for the people of this state. So the criminal justice realm is the most important. But secondly, we have to make sure it's an attorney general that's been conservative and a Republican, because when it comes to issues like life, when it comes to issues like election integrity, which is so foundational to everything we do, to parental rights, you better have a conservative in there that believes in the same things that all of us as conservatives believe in, because you're going to end up in a courtroom fighting those battles for the people of South Carolina.
We all know the case of Logan Federico, violent crime in South Carolina. That's something that we're still struggling with, fentanyl, repeat offenders. What's your specific strategy beyond I'm going to get tough on crime?
Well, again, we need on the policy side to change the way we elect judges in our state. I think that'll help first and foremost. But secondly, we need somebody who's been an in the trenches prosecutor. So I want to train up a group of attorneys and prosecutors in that office and go to court with them. I want to try cases myself when it's possible to do so. I've done that as a solicitor. I've been in the courtroom. I tried 2 homicide cases last year, so I don't need a tutorial on day one on how to prosecute a murder case. And I'm sure there's ones I will be involved in, including probably one that was just recently reversed. So my plan, Charlie, is to be an in-the-trenches kind of hands-on guy and train up our guys, young attorneys in that office, on how to get good results in the courtroom. The other thing is to be all over the state. I want to go meet with our sheriffs regularly, get around South Carolina and ask the Charleston Sheriff, Carl Ritchie, or P.J. Tanner in Beaufort, or Hobart Lewis in Greenville, what do y'all need? How can I be a resource for you as your Attorney General to help you do your job better and keep families safe in all those counties? So I believe my experience leads me in the trenches, will lead me to help our law enforcement partners do their jobs better.
You talked about, crime. We know that it's bad. I get people asking me all the time, Charlie, are we a sanctuary state? It does seem like that in some cases. Do you believe we're a sanctuary state? And what should the South Carolina Attorney General realistically do about immigration enforcement?
Well, we need to work closely with our federal partners. And then also, a lot of people don't realize the state law enforcement division has an immigration unit. And those guys are working hard on cases. I've been involved in even some recently with them where they're investigating not just the people that are here illegally, but oftentimes the people that are enabling the people to be here illegally through employment. So we really need to get after that area as well and make sure that SLED and if ICE comes in, that they're working closely with our state and local partners, and certainly that we're not standing in their way. I mean, if you look at what happened in Minnesota, Charlie, it was an absolute disgrace. The way that the state and local elected officials stood in the way and obstructed the federal immigration authorities when they were trying to do their jobs. Here, we're not going to stand in their way. We're going to assist them in making sure that they can do their jobs and complete the mission.
David, can I hold you on for one more break? Because I got some questions to ask you, including a question about the Ryan Looper case, and you and I have talked. You know this question's coming, right?
Right.
So, all right, we'll get into that coming up next. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
This is the Charlie James Show, the right talk, now more than ever, on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Continue our conversation with Attorney General candidate David Stumbo. June 2018, deputies in Lawrence County responded to a home near Clinton that found 2-year-old Brantley Smith dead. Investigators said the child had extensive injuries and signs of repeated abuse. It is reported that Looper, this guy, Ryan Looper, admitted to repeatedly abusing this child over 2 weeks. He was charged with murder, first-degree criminal sexual conduct with a minor, 2 counts of unlawful conduct towards a child. You were seeking the death penalty in this case, which seems tailor-made for it, but that's not the way it turned out. Can you walk us through the decision and ultimately what happened with the death penalty in the Ryan Looper case?
Absolutely, Charlie. We sought the death penalty very early in that case, and we litigated it as a death penalty case for almost 3 years. And that was a lot of that time was during the COVID court shutdowns in 2020 and 2021, which really extended out the time that we had to handle that case. Now, one of the things we did was we made sure at the end of it, one, the guy was never going to walk out of prison. So anybody that says I've given a sweetheart deal to to Billy Looper doesn't realize or is not acknowledging the fact that he will leave prison one day in a pine box. He will leave a maximum security prison in a pine box. And so we secured that. But the other thing we did, Charlie, that I've never been able to do since, before then or since in my 20-plus year prosecutor career, is I was able to reach back into time and prosecute the man that created the monster that Billy Looper became. His own father abused him and his 2 brothers for many years. And we were able to uncover that through the litigation in the case as we were prosecuting. All that information would have been presented to a jury in a sentencing portion of a death penalty case, and they would have been able to take that into account to mitigate whether to do a death sentence or a life sentence in a death penalty case. And the jury makes that decision, not ultimately the judge or the prosecutor. So all that we did was we were able to hold 2 offenders accountable for one horrific event. And we were able to go back and prosecute his own father and that man, Looper Sr., would still be walking the streets today, but for the way we ended up prosecuting that case. Mm-hmm. We were able to secure statements from the people we needed to make sure that he was held accountable, and he was sentenced to 15 years for child abuse that had happened years ago. And that is partially, of course, that doesn't abdicate Billy Looper's responsibility, and he'll spend the rest of his life in prison. But again, we were able to accomplish something in that case that I don't know that any other prosecutor has ever done in a death penalty case. If we had continued to seek death on that case, we never would have been able to hold the father accountable. And so I'm proud of the way we handled that case. The victim's family, the 2 surviving brothers of Brantley Smith, who was the victim, they were the witnesses in this case. The other thing is they would have had to testify, Charlie, if we had tried the case, because they were eyewitnesses to the abuse. And so the family asked us if we would consider resolving the case to life, which we did. So I'm always going to take a victim-centered, law enforcement-centered approach. And everybody from the victims to the sheriff's department who investigated the case to our office was on board with the way we handled it. So I don't apologize for a minute for sending a child killer away for life without parole and holding another child abuser accountable for a 15-year sentence. I think that was a win-win in that case.
Well, a lot of people there are like we wanted more justice, but isn't there a little bit of a difference between societal justice and justice that actually gives some mercy to the family, the victim's family?
Correct, and that's what the grandparents of Brantley, who are now the custodial parents for the 2 brothers, asked us to do, and they begged us to do that. And for me to chase a headline and continue to seek death, it'd be the wrong thing for me to do as a prosecutor. And we did the right thing in that case, and I don't apologize for a minute. And I am very pro-death penalty, Charlie. I've prosecuted 4 and currently have one pending. The fourth one is one that's pending out of Greenwood. So we believe in the death penalty. And look, at the end of the day, Billy Looper's just sentence was death. But to get a death, we would have had to put that family through something that they didn't want to go through and not hold the dad accountable.
Yeah.
And so we have to take all those things into account when we're making these decisions.
So, would these kids have had to been there in all of these appeals?
Right. Yes, and that's the other thing. We were able to secure a life without parole sentence with no appeals. So that case has been over now for a few years. The defendant, he pled guilty and got his life without parole sentence in 2021. We would still be going through years of appeals with this family right now, even if we had gotten a death sentence.
Right.
And so they didn't want to go through that either. And so we did what was right by that family, and I don't apologize for the result in that case for 1 minute.
Yeah, definitely. Sometimes justice has to take the family into consideration. Let's talk a minute about corruption in Colombia. How big of a problem do you believe it is?
Well, I think, it is absolutely a problem. A lot of times what ends up happening is those in the legislature can use their positions to profit. And I think that's something that we need to make sure we hold offenders accountable for. But the other thing we don't want to do, Charlie, and I learned early in my career as a prosecutor that we never weaponize the office to try to accomplish a political goal. As a prosecutor, it is a great power to be able to seek indictments. You can take somebody's freedom away.
Sure.
And politics never need to enter into the equation on that. They just don't. So we need to support law enforcement when they're investigating corruption cases, give them the resources they need, and then make charging decisions based on the facts and evidence without a bunch of theatrics and showmanship. And I'm going to treat public corruption cases like we do a murder or an armed robbery or a drug trafficking case. We're going to follow the evidence, and we're going to do the right thing. And that's my approach to public corruption and how we're going to handle those cases when I'm the Attorney General.
All right. David Stumbo, running for Attorney General of South Carolina. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it, and good luck in the primary.
Thank you, Charlie. Appreciate the time, man.
Take care.
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the phones. We'll talk to Marshall in Greenville about the Attorney General's race. Marshall, welcome.
Thank you, Charlie. I appreciated your interview with Solicitor Sumbo a minute ago. And
Yes, sir.
I apologize that I missed your conversation with Pasco yesterday, but I did catch the forum that was just very troubled with the approach that he seemed to want to take. And I don't know if he said the same thing to you yesterday, but having a former Democrat say that he wanted to use the office to sue Republicans, albeit under the guise of public corruption, just struck me as lawfare, and I don't know why any Republican would want to support that. It seems very troubling, and I think we all think public corruption ought to be prosecuted, but having a former Democrat holding the reins doesn't seem like the way to go.
And here's what really got me about that interview yesterday, and you go back and listen to it online. He said that he was a Democrat because he had to play the game. Just had to play the game in order to stay in office and do all of these, the prosecution of all these Republicans. So what gets me is, and the question I asked him yesterday was, were you playing the game then, and are you playing the game now? Is this just another part of the game?
And I didn't really get that from Solicitor Sumbo that you were just talking to. I mean, anybody that comes in and says they've been a lifelong conservative and have been a conservative for multiple decades, I've got a lot higher trust in that than someone that says that they're playing games, whether they're playing games one way or they're playing games the other way. They're playing games, and I don't want somebody as my chief law enforcement officer of the state who's playing games. I'd rather somebody that was a straight shooter.
There you go. All right. I appreciate it, Marshall. Thank you very much, and I certainly understand your sentiment. There was a poll out yesterday, and this kind of shocked me, actually, as far as the Attorney General's race is concerned. Stephen Goldfinch is actually leading in the polls for this race. Now, it's all tight. It's literally a horse race right now. You thought the finish of the Indy 500 was close. That's how close the Attorney General's race is right now here in South Carolina. So you've got Stephen Goldfinch. This is a guy who is one of the people that was leading the charge to get rid of Curtis Loftus. Now, the reason that the people in Columbia, especially the senators in Columbia, want to get rid of Curtis Loftus is so they can cozy up to all of that money. And let me explain to you how this goes, okay? So let's say, because people always say, well, Charlie, they can't touch that money. They can't do it. Oh, wait a minute, hold on, but they can. They can. Let's say you've got $100 million in a fund somewhere, and this was explained to me by some very high-ups in the South Carolina government. Let's say you got a fund that's got $100 million in it. And you decide, let's say you're the treasurer, right? You're the treasurer, and they come to you and you say, Mr. Treasurer, you've got $100 million in that fund. Why don't you invest some of that in my firm? And if you do invest some of this in my firm, and this happens all the time, not necessarily not in the treasurer's office, but in other places, you guys control all that money in that fund. Why don't you put some over in my fund? And if you do, I've got a friend that's got an opening on the board of directors of this corporation, and they would love to have you or a family member be on board. Now, this is basically a no-show-up position. You just get paid. That's the type of corruption that happens all the time in Columbia, and that's what Curtis Loftus is trying to stop. But they want to get him out of there so they can cozy up to all of that money. Stephen Goldfinch, also part of the Rhino Caucus in Columbia. He's part of those guys. So do you think Stephen Goldfinch is going to come along and he's going to do a whole lot of investigating into those people? No. So then you got David Pasco. David Pasco, his entire life, was a Democrat. Now, he may have been pro-life. He may be pro-death penalty. He may be tough on crime. But he was a Democrat who campaigned for Joe Biden, who called, oh my gosh, who called Jim Clyburn the godfather of South Carolina politics, who went door knocking for Joe Biden and Todd Rutherford. So that's what you've got right now. And the fact that Goldfinch is leading this thing, that kind of boggles the mind. But we got some new polling data here, and this has to do with the governor's race here in South Carolina. This might shock you a little bit. This is from Trafalgar. If the Republican primary for governor were held today, and the following were your choices, for whom would you be most likely to vote? Coming in at number 1, Pamela Avett. Pamela Avett comes in at 19.9%. Alan Wilson at 19.4%. Rom Reddy at 19%. And Ralph Norman, 15.9%. Nancy Mace, 14.6%. That's kind of interesting to me. It really is. So, now let's go to the Senate race. Same question. Lindsey Graham leading 52%. Mark Lynch has 28% in that race. Thomas Demukes is down at 2.5%. But if you go and you look at some of these numbers, let me get this one. Hold on. Here we go. In the Lindsey Graham race, total 52%. The Augusta-Aiken area, 51.9. Charleston, 55% going for Lindsey Graham. The Columbia area going 52% for Graham. Here in the upstate, only 39.5% are going for Lindsey Graham. Over in Florence and Myrtle Beach, almost 70%. Get a little further down in the low country, 61.9%. Mark Lynch is beating Lindsey Graham here in the upstate 41 to 39%. That's pretty huge. If we could only wake up the rest of this state, they're really the problem. So that's where we are right now. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. Excuse me.
Not just chatter, local issues that matter. This is the Charlie James Show
on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas. Let your fingers do the talking.
Text the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line at 800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Well, our state legislature, especially the Senate, has let us down. The House passed it. Senate shot down redistricting here in South Carolina. So far in the past few months, we've expected two things from our state legislature. Number one, give us all the benefits of the one big, beautiful bill. I mean, Republicans in the House in Washington, they fought like hell for that thing. The Senate, they fought like hell for it, and they finally got it passed. President Trump fought for tax breaks, for no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, tax breaks for senior citizens. The list goes on and on. And our state legislature said, no, you know what? We've got a better idea. We're actually going to raise taxes on the middle class here in South Carolina. Yeah, we're going to do that. In fact, that's what the new tax bill does. That is, they're going to have to come back and vote on that, by the way. So they did not give us the benefits of the one big, beautiful bill. And then redistricting. Okay. Ralph Norman called for redistricting months ago. The South Carolina Freedom Caucus had a bill that they submitted back in January to redistrict South Carolina. But what did they do? Nothing. They did nothing. So then what happened? Well, we saw what happened in Virginia. And then it's like, all right, well, maybe it's time for some of these other states to start redistricting. And all of these states started redistricting. And boy, I tell you what, it caught on like wildfire. So then the state legislature, they decided that they were feeling a little bit of the pressure because you guys were calling, texting, and emailing. And they decided to bring it up. But they didn't want to pass it. This is not something they wanted to do. So they, in my opinion, they hatched a plan. And we got early voting coming up soon. Why don't we vote for this thing? But yet we'll drag it out. We'll allow these Democrats to put up all these amendments. We'll drag this thing out. And then when it finally does come to the third reading, well, early voting will have already started. And there's no way we're going to be able to redistrict once those ballots have gone out, right? The mail-in ballots, the military ballots, things like that. There's no way we can do that. And that's exactly what they did. But you even had people out there, so-called Republicans, that were talking about, oh, this is going to disenfranchise different groups of people. That's a bunch of hooey. And that is what has been being really batted around by a lot of folks on the Democrats. Once you listen to this from CNN.
How does the Calais case, the VRA case, undermine black political power? All black Americans, all white Americans, all Americans before the Calais case had one vote, and now they all still have the franchise and they have one vote. Why is it undermining black political power just to take away an artificial floor of Democratic seats?
Oh, me. Okay, I'm taking
the
this
lawyer
one. There you go. So I was in the voting section of the Civil Rights Division, and I'll tell you, as everyone realizes, that when you dilute the voting power of a particular population, the one person, one vote is essentially a myth. If you tell them that they're going to be separated and can never actually vote for a candidate they're choosing or have the opportunity to have that candidate elected, that's problematic. And before you give me that squint, don't tell me that Republicans have fewer offices in the New England or wherever. But the crux of the matter is the Voting Rights Act of 1965 was designed to make sure that voting strength was universal. And if you dilute that power through gerrymandering and separating districts, then you do undermine the ability to do that very thing.
Their power
and that's
to do
exactly
what, though?
But to elect a candidate of their choosing, not.
Okay. Now, what she does not want to hear is exactly the point that she brought up. Massachusetts, Connecticut, Maine, New Mexico, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Vermont, Hawaii, and Delaware all have huge amounts of Republicans in their state. Huge amounts. Look at New Hampshire, 48% Republican. Maine, 46% Republican. New Mexico, 46% Republican. No representation. No representation whatsoever. Let's talk with, you know what? I'm going to have to, JJ, I'm going to have to hold this guy over because I really want to get him on the program. When we get back, we'll talk with Representative Thomas Beach about the redistricting and what happened with that. Also coming up, John Cornyn just got absolutely hammered in Texas last night. And the media, how different have they been with Trump's physical versus Joe Biden's health? It's pretty shocking. That's coming up next. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk.
Charlie.
Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the phones and talk to Representative Thomas Beach. How are you, sir? Thanks for joining us this afternoon.
Well, I glad to always talk with you, sir, but I am very upset, disappointed. We have Democrats celebrating.
Yeah.
We have the ACLU has declared victory. We have moderate Republicans justifying and making excuses of what happened. Such a terrible decision. I just hope that our listeners are seeing this and will wake up and realize how bad things are at the State House.
Yeah.
At the General Assembly. And we need more conservatives. We need more conservatives in the primaries, and we need more reinforcements. You mentioned that Congressman Norman, the Freedom Caucus, and myself, we've been trying to tackle this redistricting issue all year. And we missed a giant opportunity. I mean, just look at the future. What do you think Congress could look like in a couple of years here, 2027, 2028? See, I firmly believe we lawmakers, we representatives, we senators, we are supposed to be on a wall trying to protect our families from an overreaching federal government. We are the last line of defense, and I feel that they messed up and didn't defend, because we let down not just the state of South Carolina, not just the Republican Party, but the citizens, more than just South Carolina. This was affecting all 350 million people across this nation. This is an important fight to have.
Yeah. Do you think it will be done, not just this, not this, election cycle?
Well, that's on the people of South Carolina, your listeners. I have an opponent that was in favor of not redistricting. I mean, we got to figure out who the conservatives are. They're usually in the Freedom Caucus.
Yeah.
And we got to get behind them. I hope people wake up. This is on the shoulders of the citizens. If you care about the future, or I don't know how else to say it, but it really matters on these elections.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It does matter. I appreciate it. Representative Thomas Beach, thank you for joining us. But we've got to I've been saying this, said it down in Charleston, said it here, said it in Columbia. We have got to stop pretending. Now, listen to everything that I say here because it's important. We've got to stop pretending that the Democrats are the enemy. Now, hold on, because I know you kind of just wrinkled your nose at that. Are the Democrats the enemy? Yes, Democrats are the enemy. But the bigger enemy here in South Carolina are the rhinos. Those are the people that need everything. The Democrats have no power. They've got no control. The only power they have is the power that the rhinos in our state legislature gives to them, and they are very good at giving them power. So in order to stop, take a look, every problem we have here in South Carolina, look at all the money we're spending. Unbelievable. Look at the size of our budget. Look at not getting the One Big Beautiful Bill benefits. Look at not getting redistricting. Look at our roads. Look at our infrastructure. Look at our, unbridled growth. Look at everything that we got going on. Look at Scout Motors. Look at all of those things. None of those are problems because of the Democrats. They are problems because of the rhinos. And until we get that group of people and kick them to the curb, nothing is going to change here in South Carolina. Nothing. Oh, you know what we need to do, Charlie? We need to close our primary. You're not going to do that. I don't know how many times I got to explain this. This legislature is not going to close the primaries. It's not going to happen. You can forget it. If they won't redistrict, they're certainly not going to cut their nose off to spite their face. and close the primaries. They benefit from open primaries. They benefit greatly. That's how they're able to stay in office. We got to turn out. People always say, oh, we got problems in South Carolina. Yeah, because the guy you voted for is part of the problem, or the woman. Why? I don't know. I really don't understand. I really don't get it. And people go, oh, them Freedom Caucus people. They're them and the Family Caucus primarily are the two most conservative groups in the state legislature. Everybody else in the Rhino Caucus, that's your problem. That's what you pinpoint. Everything else that's going on in South Carolina is merely a symptom of that problem. They're the ones that are doing it. Our judicial system is broken. No kidding. Who broke it? They did. The Department of Transportation is broken. Really? They broke it. We got real problems with DHEC. Really? That's them too. Our Child Protective Services, that's a mess. Yep, that's them. Everything can go back to them. Everything. You cannot blame the problems on the Democrats. Again, they've got no power. You can't even blame the problems on the Freedom Caucus. Because why? The Rhinos won't let the Freedom Caucus come into their little club because they won't sign a loyalty oath. And the only thing that the Rhinos ever say when you talk about the Freedom Caucus, they say, well, those are a bunch of people that supported R.J. May. Yeah, they supported R.J. May up until the point where they found out what a horrible human being he was. Then they kicked him to the curb, rightfully so. They still want to hang out on that. I mean, even Ron Reddy was bringing that garbage up, talking about Adam Morgan. Give me a break. That's the problem. Until you get rid of that problem, you can forget about South Carolina making any advances whatsoever. Florida should be so jealous of us. They should be like, man, we're conservative, but boy, have you seen those guys in South Carolina? But they don't. Study of every, let me figure out how to phrase this. They looked at every state legislature in South Carolina. And they looked at the Republicans in the state legislatures, okay? And they did a survey. And they found out which state had the least conservative Republican state legislators. Or you could put it another way. Which state had the most liberal Republican state legislatures? You know where we came in? Number 3. We were behind Vermont and New Hampshire to having the most liberal Republican state legislators. That should tell you something. That should tell you something. So when all these people come out there and they're like, oh, I want to fight for you to do, you're not going to fight. Nobody's going to fight. They're not going to fight for you. They're going to fight for the special interest. They're going to fight for their donors. And ultimately, they're going to fight for the Democrats. We've seen that time and time again. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Keeping Carolina conservative. It's the Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
And welcome back to the program. Let's go to Cooper in Gaffney. How you doing, Cooper?
Doing well, Charlie. How about yourself, sir?
I'm great, man. What's up?
Listen, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist about this, but if you look back at when we tried to get the legislature to pass all the provisions that are in the big, beautiful bill,
Yeah.
we had such a hard time with that. And you go, okay, the writing's on the wall. You go back to now, and redistricting would have been a win, a huge win for Trump, right? It gets him one more seat, another Republican seat, and we're so close right now. He has not endorsed a candidate in South Carolina yet. And I think that if the governor would have gotten redistricting to go through, then that would have been a win for him, and he could have got Trump to endorse Pam Evan, and they do not want her in office.
Really? Why do you think that is?
Many people will differ with this opinion, but I think she's too I think she's too conservative for the legislature. I think and they're not looking for another. Not that Governor McMaster is the highest rated conservative governor in the United States, but they don't want somebody that's going to be as conservative as she is to be in the governor's seat. I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be a toss-up now between a couple, three candidates.
Yeah.
But with Trump's endorsement, I think she definitely would have been. I mean, they're looking at all these candidates across the nation that have a Trump endorsement, and he's 100 for 100 just about.
He is.
They didn't want to take that chance, so they didn't want to give Trump a win, or they didn't want to give the governor a win. Therefore, Trump a win. Therefore, Everett a win. I think that's a big part of it.
You know what, Cooper? That's very good. And listen, I love conspiracy theories. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very, very much. And you might be right. You might be right. Now, the theory was about, because remember, Henry McMaster said he wasn't for redistricting. He wasn't for it. He said he didn't see any use in it. There was no need to do it. Those were his words. And then all of a sudden, you've got all of this outcry for redistricting. You got Ralph Norman and Freedom Caucus, they're talking about it. Then all of a sudden, Henry McMaster kind of changes his mind, but not really. Not really. We only go back to what Henry McMaster said about redistricting. He said, I think our state legislature ought to take a look at it, make sure it's constitutional. Well, that was the thing. That told me right there. That was that weak statement from Henry McMaster told me that he's not for redistricting. If he was, he would have said that he was for redistricting. Now, apparently, from what we heard, I mean, he talked to President Trump several times. And the theory was that he decided to say what he said, a non-committal type of a statement, in order to get an endorsement for Pamela Evan. That's interesting. So I don't know. But I know who did get an endorsement from President Trump, Ken Paxton in Texas, and he absolutely steamrolled over John Cornyn last night. I'm going to tell you something. When I was watching those election returns come in last night, and that's basically how I spent my night last night because I'm a wonk like that, I was so happy. There was a brief period of time last night where John Cornyn did not have a single county under his name. Not one single county. Well, that kind of changed a little bit last night because he actually won 2 counties in Texas. But Ken Paxton just absolutely steamrolled that guy last night. It was brutal to watch. If you look at Cornyn won Kennedy County 75-25, and he won, of course, Travis County, which is Austin. He won 52-47. 52-47 in Austin. That's pretty amazing. So he's got that. So now who is Ken Paxton going against? He's going against a young man named James Tallarico. And let me tell you something. I don't know if you know a lot about James Tallarico, but when he says something like this while wearing a mask, I want you to listen to what he said.
We have, I think, heard more and more issues of animal welfare. I think not just because it's the right thing to do and the moral thing to do, but also it's, as all of you know, necessary to fight climate change. It is now existential that we try to reduce our meat consumption and that we try to respect animals in all aspects of society. And so I am proud to say that our campaign has officially become a non-meat campaign. So we are only buying vegan products from our local vegan businesses. Some of you may know Big Nona's. They were little Nona's, and then they opened up a brick and mortar, so another Big Nona's. But we just got our pizza from there today. And so the point is that I think all of us, not just policymakers, but everyone has to take personal responsibility.
So he's wearing a mask, talking about climate change being an existential threat when we know that's not true, and they went all vegan. But that's not the worst of James Tallarico. James Tallarico said that God, now remember, one of the big things they talk about James Tallarico is he's a seminarian. Oh, he's a he's a seminarian. Charlie, he's a seminarian. He's got to be a good choice, right? He says God is non-binary. He says there are 6 sexes. He says that there needs to be a reckoning for whiteness. Yes. He says that the American flag is a complicated symbol. He says listen to what he said, the trans community needs abortion care too. Literally said that. Literally said that. God is non-binary. So this is it. This is James Tallarico. I want you to take a listen to what he says here. This is the guy running against Ken Paxton in Texas.
What is your response to them using that and explain what you were talking about?
Well, I understand that comment is a little provocative. I said it on the House floor when the extremists in the Republican legislature were picking on school kids who were different. But I don't think it's controversial theologically. Most Christians would acknowledge that God is beyond gender. In fact, the Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Galatians, said that in Christ there is neither male nor female. And so if someone's got a problem with that statement, they shouldn't take it up with me. They should take it up with the Apostle Paul.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Wait a minute. Hold on. What did it say in Genesis? That he made man and woman? Yeah. So there you go. He was talking about spiritually. He was talking about as far as sin is concerned. He's talking about as far as salvation is concerned. That knows no gender. He needs to read that Bible a little bit more. So here's what they said over at MSNBC. Listen to this.
Will this end up being a be careful what you wish for situation for Trump and his allies?
Oh, no question about it, Anna. I worked for the last Texas governor, Democratic governor, Ann Richards. That was 35 years ago. And so every cycle comes around and I hear from media and friends that say, oh, this time it's the rising tide, blue wave. And I'm usually the one tapping the brakes. But I think that there's a perfect storm lining up here. First of all, just a bad environment for Republicans in general. Secondly, an exceptional candidate in James Tallarico. And third, I think a really unpopular Republican nominee in Ken Paxton. This is going to be a good versus evil. And I think that Tallarico...
It's good versus evil. Now, who was that guy? That guy was Mark McKinnon, who used to be an advisor to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney, if that will put him into some perspective. Good versus evil. Yeah, I think you're right about that. I don't think you're right about which one is which. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, it's Tara. I do the homework and give you the facts every morning starting at 6 on The Tara Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So President Trump had a physical, I believe it was yesterday, and he said, according to his statement, that, hey, everything checked out perfectly. Everything is fine. Of course, it'll take a little while to get the blood work back if that was done. But all of a sudden, the mainstream media is very concerned, and this is the same thing we saw during the first Trump administration. Gosh, it's like we're just reliving. It's like Groundhog Day. It really is. Like we're reliving all of this stuff with the Democrats over and over again. What did Trump's health? What about his mental health? What about his mental decline? So this is what the media is saying right now about Donald Trump's health, and you can guess what it's like.
New questions surrounding the president's health. President Trump, who turns 80 next month.
This physical brings back all the questions about the president's health.
Growing talk on the state of the president's health.
So many questions about the president's health.
Some doctors and Democratic lawmakers say that they would like to see more transparency about the president's health.
He's going to turn 80 in just a few weeks. The president's health has come under increased scrutiny.
Spotlight on the president's health ahead of his 80th birthday next month.
Okay, so the president's health. Let me tell you something. That man has given more media time in just the amount of time that he's been in office in this second term that Joe Biden did the entire 4 years of his presidency. He sat there in the Oval Office, wasn't the Oval Office today, but it was in the White House, and he answered reporters' questions for over an hour today. Over an hour. He has had cabinet meeting after cabinet meeting after cabinet meeting. He goes literally from before the sun comes up till well after the sun goes down. It's like he never sleeps. He is constantly on the go. I couldn't sleep this morning, woke up about 3:45. I'm a wreck right now. Donald Trump, steam train. He just keeps on chugging along because he's got a job to do. They want to question his health. Give me a break. You show me. Remember when Joe Biden used to call a lid at 11 o'clock in the morning? 11 o'clock in the morning. That's it. Joe Biden's done for the day. That's what a lid is. They say, all right, he's done for the day. He's not going to be talking to reporters. He's not going to be doing. He's done. Might have a couple of meetings, little warm milk, some cookies. He's done. Joe Biden was horrible physically. Now, let me ask you a question, because I thought, and this is weird, but I thought Joe Biden had stage 4 prostate cancer. Has anybody heard a peep out about that recently? Anybody heard about that? I haven't. Haven't heard a word. Haven't heard a word about treatment. Haven't heard a word about prognosis. Haven't heard a word about it. Was that just something to gain sympathy? But you just heard how the media was talking about President Trump's health. What did they say about Joe Biden's health?
There's a narrative that Joe Biden is an old man.
Your thoughts on the media narrative around President Biden's age?
And I'm not disputing that he's not 81 years old, but somehow this narrative has taken hold that he's infirm.
Think back just a short year ago how the former guy and how a lot of people saw Joe. He was Sleepy Joe. He's Mojo Joe now. He's the farthest thing from sleepy. He's Turbo Joe. He's Mojo Joe.
He's constantly underestimated, and we saw that in the State of the Union, this sort of surprise from people that, yes, he's confident and energetic.
The president didn't just clear the senility bar, he demolished it.
Oh, he demolished it, please. Please, we all saw the debate. Well, let me tell you something. A doctor could come in here right now, give me a B12 shot. He'd be like hooking me up to a V8. I'd be like, yeah, let's go. That's what they did to Joe. You can give the guy something to make him appear cognitive, appear fit during the State of the Union speech, but the other 364 days out of the year, the guy was a wreck. They're just looking for something. They're looking for anything right now because they're losing their pants. Literally. They're losing their pants. And they're scared to death. So they're trying to reach out anything. It was even, what was a few months ago, there were this rumor that he was dead. Why? Because he didn't have a press conference for 2 days? 2 days. So, but listen, anything. They are grabbing at straws. They are desperate right now. They are absolutely desperate. These people are hideous. They're awful human beings, every single one of them. Well, that's why I don't pay attention to them. Yeah, Charlie, what happened to Joe Biden stage 4? I have no idea. That just went away. Maybe Joe Biden went to that hospice that had a 98% survival rate in Minneapolis, or was it California? Maybe he did that. Charlie, I think Biden's cancer was a sympathy ploy. When he came out there, it was a bunch of things being brought up about him. Yeah, you're right about that. Charlie, President Trump is a machine. He sleeps 4 and 5 hours, and that's it. Charlie, yet none of them say a word about Biden's physical and cognitive decline. Exactly. And they defended it. Remember that? He's sharp as a tack. Oh, he's sharp as a tack. And then the debate hit. And everybody was like, well, okay, it's time to do away with old Joe. And they did. They did. So, anyway, there you go. I know, they're ridiculous. They are ridiculous. All right, coming up in just a minute. This is what I call thinking out of the box. Markwayne Mullin, new Department of Homeland Security Secretary, has got an idea to actually stop the sanctuary cities. Lindsay, you might want to pay attention to this. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Grit, truth, and a whole lot of common sense. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. and type your message on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So I had this texter online. Who are you? 710. Oh, he's like, well, we need to know about the president's. Why do you need to know about the president's health? I got a better idea. Why don't you watch him? Why don't you go and look and see what this man does on a daily basis? Every single day, day in and day out, on the move. The guy plays golf. He's always having meetings. He's doing this, that, and the other thing. I mean, listen, the guy's doing what he has to do. Charlie, I didn't say anything about the fact that he doesn't work hard. I said his health is fair for evaluation. Look at it. Look at it. Look at the health. That's it. You want to know how healthy President Trump is? Watch him, sun up to sundown, every single day. People just want to find something to hang on Trump, something to hang on him. Remember when he had the pulmonary edema? He had the swelling in his legs. I was like, no, completely normal for 80 years old. Completely normal. So they gave him probably, I don't know if they did this, but they probably gave him some compression socks to wear. I'm pretty sure they were silk with the money that he's got. But I mean, that helps, that alleviates a lot of the swelling. How do I know that? Because I got it. I got it because I had blood clots in my legs. So I get a little edema going on every now and then. So I know what he's going through. But if that's not stopping him, and what if we found out that there was something wrong with the president's health? What would that change? Would it change the way he goes about his day? No, I don't think it would. I don't think it would change it a bit. I think he would keep on going. Unlike Joe Biden, who had to call a lid, like I said, every day, every morning at 11 o'clock. See, they're so interested in just finding I got to find some reason. Here's what they do. Here's what Democrats do, and texters like this do every single day. I got to find a reason to hate Trump. What will today's reason be? Oh, his health, because he went to the doctor. Oh, it's his health. I think secretly they're praying or hoping something's wrong with him. Let's go to Bill in Taylor's. Bill, welcome.
Hi, Charlie.
Yes, sir.
An idea I'd like to share with you, and maybe you might have already been discussing it or thinking about it, but what would be the possibility of your station adding some repeaters in other areas or towers? Get your signal out throughout the state.
And where to? Would you say more down in the Columbia area, Charleston, over in Aiken County, maybe York, someplace we get over there? Yeah, maybe so.
Look, I was talking, listening to you one day. You were talking about it's a shame we can't get the word out in those communities.
Yeah,
and you talk up here about Senator Fartzenmouth down in Columbia.
Yeah,
it'd be really nice if you could have that conversation be broadcast in his home area, and they get blasted there and let his constituents hear what they're really doing.
It is a darn shame that people in the other parts of the state do not have access to what we have, because there is nobody else. There's a little station over there in Rock Hill. They do a good job. Kevin Cohen's got a little station down in Columbia. Corey Allen down in the Low Country, he does a good job as well. But man, I tell you what, those people, they're completely uninformed. They've got nothing to go on. But Bill, I'll pass that along. I would love for that to happen. People always ask me, Charlie, would you like to be nationally syndicated? Yeah, of course. I mean, that would be great. It's like when my buddy Chris Plant got nationally syndicated. I said, Chris is do you like it? And he said, of course I like it. It's the same job, more money. But I would rather be regionally syndicated. That to me would be a lot better because then I could talk about what's actually going on around here. Let's talk with Adam Morgan right now. Adam, welcome to the program. How are you this afternoon, sir?
I am furious, Charlie. Did you see what I just sent you?
No, I did not. Let me take a look at it.
Charlie, we have news from Clemson University.
Oh.
They picked their new president.
All right.
Gilewitz or whatever. Did you see that?
DEI zealot forced
Charlie,
sweeping. This guy. Oh my gosh! Really?
This guy is insane. He's from Michigan State University. He implemented every DEI initiative and program you can imagine at basically every job he's had. He recruited elected officials on the record to try to go out and support the messaging for DEI in Michigan to oppose the Trump administration's crackdown on DEI. And if all that wasn't just good enough, he actually went to the steps of the Supreme Court and did a press conference supporting affirmative action, which the court struck down. People have been saying, oh, Clemson, with all that Charlie Kirk stuff, and the Clemson College Republicans have been saying that there's a really big leftist slant there. And people say, no, they're getting it under control. It's really not that crazy liberal. They just hired a guy who is like rabidly pro DEI, spends his time defending affirmative action at the Supreme Court, and it just baffles me. How does this keep happening in South Carolina? Like,
I don't. Oh my gosh, this is hideous. Kevin Guskowitz, passionate DEI advocate. That's unbelievable, Adam. I mean, again, how does this happen?
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Traxler, it's like our institutions are being captured. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like you have the board of trustees and the people over there who are looking through these candidates, and we had problems with the last guy, and that's who they choose to put in this position. And by the way, I mean, the fact that he used his position to, as he says, to enlist and recruit elected officials to go and make this argument, I'll just say this. I'm going to make sure that he finds South Carolina a lot more of a hostile area for those elected officials.
Good for you.
Going around doing his bidding, and we'll just make sure that it's a little bit different of an experience here than it was in Michigan for him.
That sounds like a great idea, Adam. I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you very much. Unbelievable what's going on at Clemson. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of non-stop breaking news and stimulating talk jumpstarts every hour on the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9
WORD,
the voice of the Carolinas.
Hey, Charlie.
Let's talk.
It's the right talk. Charlie. Welcome. This is the Charlie James Show.
Now we're talking.
News Talk 98.9.
WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Oh, man, I saw... I want to play a little bit of it for you here. Just a little bit of it. But Neyland Stadium, home of the Tennessee Volunteers, put out a hype video for the upcoming season. Oh, I got chills. I'm so ready for. Is it September yet? It's actually that starts like late August this year. I'm so ready for college football. This is Neyland Stadium, and it's the spookiest version of Rocky Top you've ever heard. Listen.
Wish that I was on a rocket top, down in the Tennessee hills. Ain't no smoggy smoke on rocket top. Ain't no telephone bills.
I'm so ready. I'm so ready for college football. I am so ready. Let's go to Gerald in Cowpens. Gerald, welcome.
Charlie, with the new president of Clemson, get ready for the hood rats, the queers and lesbians start doing a halftime show.
That ought to be perfect. That'll be great. Oh, yeah. Now, I notice he's a white guy, though. Notice it, the new president of Clemson, another white guy. Let's go to Robert in Mills River. What are you doing, Robert?
I'm doing good, Charlie. How are you?
I'm doing great. What's up, man?
Well, I heard David on there talking yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you, I can't hardly pronounce his last name because I heard him a long time ago talking, and I didn't like him right off. So I don't know if people ought to go with old school fellas like me and you and people, but I'm going to tell you, he ain't getting my vote. I mean, if I was in South Carolina, I wish some of them would come up here and run for governor, though, that you've had on there.
Somebody better than what you got now. Yeah, I get it. I get it.
A lot better.
Yeah, you're right. I appreciate
it.
Take
care, Charlie.
Thank you,
have
Robert.
A great day.
You have a lovely, lovely night. Let's see. Somebody was talking about that debate last night, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but I'll say it again. The only person, and I never thought these words was coming out of my mouth, but the sanest person on that stage last night appeared to be Nancy Mace. I know. Crazy, right? But that's just the way it is. In Seattle. But here's the thing. You get what you vote for. You get what you vote for. And I think people, Los Angeles, I'm telling you, what was it? That race is going to be next Tuesday. The race for mayor of Los Angeles, you got Spencer Pratt going against Karen Bass, who is hideous. And people in Los Angeles are like, yeah, I'm going for Spencer Pratt. I'm going for Pratt. Even people won't admit it, but they're sick and tired of what's going on. In Seattle, I want you to listen to this. Seattle residents have actually taken to putting barricades, walls around their own neighborhoods.
There's been a shooting almost every night in the last couple of weeks.
It's terrifying to live here, and it's even more terrifying that the city is absolutely doing nothing to protect the citizens in this neighborhood.
Which is why they're taking matters into their own hands. They put up these makeshift barriers.
It was a game changer. It made it feel much more safe there.
Made it feel much more safe there. Oh, really? This is from Fox News.
Crime has gotten so bad in one Democrat-led city that people are taking their safety into their own hands. Residents in a Seattle neighborhood have built homemade barricades to block their streets, and they're trying to stop the surge of shootings, alleged prostitution, and other illegal activity in their community. Locals say they've reached out to city leaders, including far-left Democrat Mayor Katie Wilson, but nothing has changed.
I'm sorry, Laura Ingraham, but you were wrong. something has changed. These residents who put up those barriers around their neighborhood, are you ready for this? Are now being ticketed. The residents are being ticketed for protecting their neighborhoods. Meanwhile, you got drug users, you got prostitutes, you got robberies, you got shootings, you got muggings, you got all of this stuff going on, and the city does nothing about it. But when you try to defend yourself, you have to have a permit. Yeah, they put up those barriers without a permit, and so therefore, you're getting a ticket. I'm pretty sure it's a hefty fine too. You see, that's all right. You folks in Seattle, remember this the next time Katie Williams is up for re-election. Remember what she did not do for you. I will guarantee, here's the hell of it all, I will guarantee you another Democrat will come along, just as bad as Katie Williams, and they'll vote for that Democrat. Oh, it's the same Democrat, just a different flavor. That's all it is. It's like Fruit Loops. It really is. I might shock you here. You ready to be shocked? You know how in a box of Fruit Loops, they got all those Fruit Loops in different colors? Know that? Yeah. They're all the same flavor. Every single Fruit Loop is the same flavor. They just look different. So the Democrats in Seattle, you're just going to vote for the next Democrat to come along and promise you whatever. They're not going to do anything about your crime either. Chicago, same way. In Chicago, the Democrats have completely lost control of the streets, and their mayor isn't doing a damn thing. So, listen, you get what you pay. Stop your complaining. No. Take those barriers down. No border walls. I'm pretty sure all those people said that once or twice in their life, right? No walls. You mean to tell me that these people can't come into your neighborhood from another neighborhood? What? And cause problems? Really? You telling me that's a bad thing? I would like to think that maybe these people in Seattle are going to wake up, but have you met Seattle? They're not gonna. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
You've stepped into the Upstate Talk Octagon. A few left jabs and a lot of right uppercuts. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
Chat with Charlie.
800-905-0989. Save it on your phone.
This is the Charlie James Show, only on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to the phones and talk to Henry in Campobello. How you doing, Henry?
Hey, Charlie, I was doing pretty good till you played that Rocky Top.
Why is that? You're not a big Vols fan? I'm not either, but I thought the hype video was awesome.
That's why I live in South Carolina.
So,
don't have any Tennessee fans at all in South Carolina.
Yeah, I know. So I wanted to, hey, listen, if the Gamecocks put out a hype video, I'll play that. If the Clemson Tigers put out a hype video, I'll play that. Absolutely. So are you looking forward to college football?
You got that right.
Absolutely. Good.
Season ticket holders, and we are ready to be in that stand, that's for sure.
So
They have a better season this year, though,
for Clemson or Carolina?
for Carolina.
There you go. So you're going to be down there. Do you ever go to the Cockaboose?
Yeah, we've been by there before.
Yeah. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. So, all right, Henry, I appreciate it. I promise I won't play any more Tennessee Volunteer hype music, but it was really cool. Let's go to Jason in Lawrence. Jason, welcome. How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you for promising not playing any more Tennessee stuff.
Okay.
but I want to do a little comparison there, and kind of simmer things down a little bit. You watch the playoffs?
Which ones?
The NBA.
No, I don't. But go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to do a comparison here. So you got one team that tries their hardest to get everything right, get things done the correct way, right? And then you have the other team who does all the stuff they can get away with.
Yeah.
And then you have the referees, right? Now, the team that's trying to do everything that's just out of this world, breaking rules and all that stuff and getting away with it would be the Democrats.
Yeah.
And the referees who are allowing this to happen,
they're the judges. Oh, sorry. I think you're breaking up, Jason. I appreciate it. But, okay, you're back. Go ahead.
yeah, my comparison is OKC versus the Spurs. If you watch any of those replays and stuff like that, man, it will blow your mind.
Yeah, we all know. That's why the Democrats were so adamant. That's why, and I appreciate it, Jason. That's why the Democrats were so adamant and so insistent that these judges be put on the bench under Joe Biden. That was their thing. That's what George Soros was all about. He put these DAs in there, got these judges in there, and now Alabama, they voted to redistrict. Isn't that amazing how Alabama can do something and we can't? Kentucky also did it. We can't. For some reason, our state legislature is inept, completely inept. If other states can do it, we can do it. They just didn't want to. So Alabama, the Supreme Court said that their constitution or their redistricting was constitutional. Well, a district judge has now put a hold on that. Okay, here we go again. And I will guarantee you that the Democrats, when they were ready, the ACLU, and this was a win. You know what it was? It was a win for the Democrats. It was a win for the ACLU. It was a win for the League of Liberal Women Voters. It was a win. You idiots in Columbia, you members of the Rhino Caucus, handed them a win in redistricting. I hope you're proud of yourselves, because you officially have about 2 years left before we worked very hard to make sure that those 12 senators, and we are going to work hard, that those 12 senators do not get reelected in Columbia. We're going to remind everybody what you did. We're going to remind everybody about the one big, beautiful bill. We're going to remind everybody, once they start getting those tax bills, then they go, wait a minute, hold on, I thought you guys gave us a tax decrease. I got a tax increase. We're going to remind people about that. We're going to remind people about the roads. No, don't be campaigning on roads. No. You're beyond that now. You've done nothing about it. You're the problem in Columbia. And we got to make sure we get rid of you as a problem. before this state goes to absolute hell. And we are well on our way. We are on our way because of these liberal so-called Republicans in Columbia. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, just think about what this state would look like if they got their way on everything. Everything. It would be horrible. It would be a disaster. So in Chicago, and speaking of disasters, Chicago, they've completely lost control. These teen takeovers, have you seen these teen takeovers? They're unbelievable. Unbelievable. And the folks on the left, the people that our state legislature kind of agrees with, they don't want to do anything about it. They don't want to clean up the streets. You've got Mayor Brandon Johnson. He does absolutely nothing. Over the Memorial Day weekend, between 37 and 40 people were shot. At least one was killed. Dozens were wounded. They had several teen takeovers. The cops were outnumbered. And where's the mayor? He's in Rome. The mayor's in Rome. He doesn't care. Let's go to JR in Westminster. How you doing, JR?
Man, better than I deserve.
All right.
Better than I bet. Listen, then this, with all the other madness that's going on around us, for South Carolinians and the people under the sound of your voice, it's that time, man. It's been getting down and dirty for the last few months. So those who haven't voted, get off the couch. Don't make any, JR says, make no excuses. You know, and if anything goes left, you have no one to blame but yourself. Get out to the polls. You know, you still got time.
Yeah.
Look up those websites, you know, of those names of people that you're not sure about. Information, you've been telling people what's going on. Information is at your fingertips. And with some of these incumbents, whoever they are, they have track records.
Yeah.
And they have voting records. And they have scores, and you have to just, you know, look and see if these people have served you well for the decades.
Yeah. Yeah.
The decade, you know, because I'm sure, listen, if the Charlie James show didn't have the ratings that it has, you know, like through the roof, you know, Mr. Hole in One. Listen, would WORD, would they keep you? No, Charlie.
No.
There's no way. But so why do we put up with this stuff, Charlie? I don't get it. So you know, vote with your feet and get off the couch. And you know, and if some of these people, if they have to go back in your life 40 and 50 years to dig up dirt on you, and they don't talk about their records. You know, this is an act of desperation and plain and simple. But, you know, and you've had years and years of dedicated service in your life, but they got to go back, you know, to when you were in high school and junior high or preschool and dig up, you know, you stole some kid's lunch money. And they got to, you know, got to.
Yeah.
They're desperate. They're desperate. So the polls are shifting in a lot of these different races, Senate races, and all this other stuff. So get to the people of Jamestown.
I'm glad you said that. I'm glad you said that, because if you go back and you remember the Kavanaugh hearing, confirmation hearing, do you remember that? Do you remember how mad Lindsey Graham was when they went back and they looked into Brett Kavanaugh's high school yearbook? And do you remember what he said? You people want power. God help you if you ever did it. Lindsey's campaign did the exact same thing.
Oh, my God.
Am I right?
Absolutely. Nothing but the truth. And, you know, listen, Mark Lynch is a friend of mine. And I talked to him. This was, a long time ago. And I said, Mark, you know, this is JR. I'm a friend. I'm going to shoot it to you. I'm just telling you straight, man. So you know how they're going to come at you. And this guy straight faced and said, listen, you know what? He said, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be truthful. And if anybody has a question, they can ask me. You know, plain and simple. But if that's what you have to resort to, and you don't have the ability to stand on a record, a good record, then it's an act of desperation, And so that's it. So to the people that are under the sound of your voice and that are listening to me today, get off your tush, get out, put your shoes on, your Crocs, your My Pillow slippers or whatever you got, your Nikes. Get out there. If you got to stand in line for a while, get out there. Yeah, and so. All of this stuff is on record that people say, hey, stuff is recorded,
Yeah.
and, stuff, so you got to be careful what you say. But all of these people have track records.
Yep.
And they have track. But listen, you do it like nobody else. And that's why I'm honored to talk to the one and only hole-in-one.
Yeah.
Mr. Charlie James.
Got one coming up on the 2-year anniversary of that hole-in-one. I appreciate it, JR. Thank you, my friend. Always a pleasure. We'll be right back. It's the Charlie James Show. News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Giving the left heartburn. Afternoons 3 to 7. It's the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9
WORD, the voice of the Carolinas. act on the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line.
800-905-0989. Text or call. One number does it all.
800-905-0989.
This is the Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
So when we look at this campaign that's being run by Lindsey Graham, where he's trying to make it out. Oh, hush. He's trying to make it out like Mark Lynch is a coke addict. And listen, look at the flyers that have come out. There's some cocaine, rolled up dollar bill. There's a picture of Mark Lynch with his finger next to his nose. What is that saying to you? And first of all, thank you, Lindsey Graham, from all the parents who had to explain to their kids what a rolled up dollar bill is doing on a political ad. But if you go back and you remember, like we was just talking with JR, the Brett Kavanaugh hearing, the confirmation hearing, and what the Democrats were trying to do to Brett Kavanaugh, bringing up this ridiculous allegation that he was some sort of a gang rapist, even went back to his high school yearbooks, found out that, oh my goodness, the guy liked to drink beer at one time, just trying to destroy his family. Let's take a listen to what Lindsey Graham said then.
Since I've been in politics, and if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist?
No.
I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it.
Well, guess what, Lindsey? Couple of things here we need to unpack. You have done to Mark Lynch exactly what the Democrats tried to do to Brett Kavanaugh. And that power you're talking about, under Joe Biden, you gave them back that power. You gave them, because why? A president needs his cabinet. A president needs his choices to be approved. That was Lindsey Graham. Man. Let's go to Tom in Simpsonville. How you doing, Tom?
Doing well, thanks. I hope you are.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
What's
for
up?
taking my call.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that I've taken away from both sets of ads for Mark Lynch, and I've met Mark Lynch. I did some work for him too, his company. But if you look at the Lindsey Graham ads and Mark Lynch, you got two people. Lindsey Graham, who's saying how wonderful he was as a young man, taking care of his sister and all that, and that's just great. But he's not a good guy these days. Whereas you look at Mark Lynch, and yeah, did the guy have some problems? He sure as heck did. Did he turn his life around? He sure as heck did.
Yeah.
And one of the things they do at Jeff Lynch is they start. I was there. I saw it. They start every day with a prayer. So if he's such a bad guy, why is he doing that?
Yeah, I know. I fully understand. I fully understand, Tom, and I appreciate it. And you're absolutely right. The juxtaposition is pretty striking. So Lindsey's got this, and you've heard the ads that he put out, and it's the only ad that he can put out because he hadn't done anything. Oh, we're going to make sanctuary cities illegal. Well, how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that, Lindsey? How's that going to happen? It's not going to happen because you're going to need 60 votes in the Senate. And as long as we've got the filibuster in place, you can put up any bill you want to put up. And it's not going to get passed. Democrats aren't going to go along with that. Doing away with sanctuary cities? Come on, Lindsey. You know better than that. That bill is going nowhere. It is dead on arrival. But you're campaigning off of it. Campaigning. So it's amazing. So, but is there somebody out there that's actually got a plan to do something about sanctuary cities? Why, yes, there is. Is his name Lindsey Graham? No, it is not. His name is Mark Wayne Mullen. Listen to this.
Today, Sean, and I said, if they're going to not allow us to go out and arrest the worst of the worst, and then when we call for assistance at the facilities, that the street, it belongs to the city, If it belonged to us, we would take care of it, but it belongs to the city, and they're barricading our employees from coming in and out of the facility. Then why are we processing international flights into the airport there? And we are currently, which we're not initiating yet, but we're currently drawing up plans to say, listen, in these sanctuary cities where the local radical left Democrats aren't allowing us to do our job and enforce federal laws, then we shouldn't be processing international flights into their cities either, because they don't want us to enforce immigration, but they want us to process immigration at their facilities.
That's a brilliant idea. Oh, Charlotte, you want to be a sanctuary city? Guess what? No more international flights for you. So what does that mean? Someone's going to have to fly into Asheville? We have to fly into Charleston, maybe. Oh, Atlanta, sanctuary city. Sorry, no international flights for you. Sorry, that's not going to happen. I think it's a brilliant idea. Let's go to John in Duncan. John, welcome.
Hey, Charlie, how are you?
I'm good, man. What's up?
Hey, I just wanted to tell a little bit about Mark. I've known Mark for a few years now. Him and his wife, Sarah, and his kids, we go to church together. This is a guy that absolutely believes what he believes. When he talks about the Constitution and he talks about people's rights and limited government, he's not just talking. This is a guy that will back it up, and I believe will go toe-to-toe with anybody in Washington to absolutely do what's best for South Carolina and for the U.S. There isn't anybody I've seen come up lately that stands a chance against Lindsey, but I think Mark's got his number.
All right, there you go. I appreciate it, John. Thank you very much. We'll take a quick break and be right back. It's the Charlie James Show, News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
15 minutes of breaking news and stimulating talk begins every hour, every afternoon on The Charlie James Show.
News Talk 98.9 WORD, the voice of the Carolinas.
Charlie Speaks. You listen on your time. Get the show on demand. Text podcast to 800-905-0989. The Charlie James Show on News Talk 98.9 WORD.
The voice of the Carolinas.
All right, let's go to Phil in Campobello. Phil, what's going on, man?
I got a great idea for redistricting. Very simple.
Okay.
Let's split Columbia and elect one senator above Columbia and one below Columbia.
Yeah, state senator?
Yeah.
That would be an interesting. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't even know how you would do that, Phil, but it's an interesting idea. So what would I do? I know a lot of political consultants. I know a lot of them. I've actually thought about doing a podcast called The Consultant's Corner, where we talk politics, but without talking politics. You know what I mean? We talk about the art of campaigns. Do you think that would be interesting to hear how a campaign consultant actually goes about trying to get their candidate elected, even candidates that they know they don't have a chance? How that whole thing, it's really, if you get into it, and I've seen several documentaries about this, it's fascinating what goes on in a political campaign. But if I were a rhino political consultant, do you know how it would start? Here's what I would do. First thing I would do is I would go look and I would bring my own donors. I would go to all these business leaders. I would go to all of the chambers of commerce. I would go to all these, if I were a rhino, I'd go to all these Democrat donors, and I would tell them, listen, I'm going to put together a slate of elected officials. And when I put this slate of elected officials together, I want you guys to donate to them so we don't have to depend on anybody else's money. They're not beholden to anybody else. Just you. And what these people are going to do when they get in office, and I promise you they will, when they get in office, is they're going to do what you tell them to do. They're not going to listen to the constituents. They're going to listen to you and your special interest, period. Okay? And what we will do is we will make sure that you, the donors, benefit from all of this. Okay? The only thing I'm asking you to do is write checks to these candidates. Let's get them elected, and then we'll start the process of paying you back in whatever way we can. That's what I would do if I were a rhino political consultant in South Carolina. Now, I'm not saying that's the way things work. I'm just saying that's the way I would do it if I were a political consultant, especially in Columbia. And I would make sure that some of my clients, the politicians, were actually in positions of leadership. Those would be you're going to have to pay a little extra. Oh, you want to sponsor leadership? Well, that's going to be a little extra for you. You're going to have to pay a little extra for that. But I'll make sure that you benefit in some way. And again, I'm not saying that's the way it works. I'm just saying that's the way I would do it if I were a political consultant. And then you don't have to worry about what the icky people say. You can do whatever you want. Scout Motors wants to come here? Oh, that's going to benefit you, Mr. Donor? Absolutely. We'll get Scout Motors here. Don't you worry about it. All right, how about redistricting? Oh, you guys don't like that. Well, we'll make sure that's killed pretty quickly. Again, I'm not saying that's the way things work in Columbia. I'm just saying that's the way I would do things if I were a rhino political consultant. I'm pretty sure it doesn't work that way at all in Columbia, right? I mean, it can't. This is so far-fetched of an idea. There's no way that that's anywhere near the reality of what we see in Columbia, South Carolina. It can't be. That would be awful. I'm just saying, if I were a political consultant, that's what I would do. And I would make sure that that stable of candidates that I had was very strong and very powerful. So then not only would I be recruiting candidates to come in and run for office, I would also be in a better position to go get more donors. Of course, I'm going to take my commission, right? I'm going to get my money, but I'm going to get more donors here. Oh, you want more industry coming here? Well, if you want more industry coming here, you need to make sure that you contribute to my slate of elected officials, if that's what you want to happen. Not saying that's what goes on in Columbia, just saying that's the way I would do it. Let's go to Richard in Dallas real quick. What's going on, Richard?
Charlie?
Yeah.
You got them figured out, brother.
You think maybe? You think maybe? You might have got them figured out.
You pegged them, brother.
That's.
I'll tell you, man.
Again, I'm not saying that's the way things work. I'm saying that's the way I would do it if I were a political consultant. All right, WRD Talk Line 800-9050-989. That's also the Common Sense Retirement Planning text line. Okay, early voting has started. We here in the Upstate appear to be falling behind in the early voting numbers right now. Richland County and Charleston County are very heavily getting out there and early voting, so you guys need to make sure you do. Just make sure you vote. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. As always, we love you. God bless. Buckle up. Bye, y'all.